In this video, I'm going to do a show and tell about my first week's experiences shooting the AimRight straight cut drill. This drill is part 2 of the fast improvement training or FIT method I described in a prior video. The drill is designed to be an intermediate step on the path to learning to aim a shot at some particular cut angle. The angles are chosen from those available on the AimRight training tool, which divides the infinite number of possible angles into a manageable 16. If mastered, that's enough for competent play by amateurs. The AimRight also greatly helps with the shot setup. This step in the FIT method is one that proves you're ready or helps one develop the accuracy needed to make the shot before working on aiming methods. I had thought that my primary need was to refine my sighting and aiming methods for thin cuts. This drill proved me wrong. I had a bigger stroke accuracy problem than I had realized, and I found that out immediately. The drill is progressive in its demand for accuracy. The drill is based on the simple, well-known drill of just shooting the cue ball across the table and back to one's cue tip or down the length of the table and back. I found this ball up and back drill to be both boring and frustrating. The FIT method and the redesigned drill changes all of that. I call the redesigned up and back drill the AimRight straight cut drill. The name explains the key components of the drill. It uses the AimRight to set cut angles. The fundamental concept is to just shoot straight across or up the table accurately, but a ball is put in just the right position such that an accurate stroke will pocket the ball without doing any conventional cut shot aiming. It's amazing. Different ball positions and corresponding cut angles then vary the accuracy needed to pocket the ball from modest to extreme. I found that setting up to shoot across the table provides a great range without creating the sighting issues caused by a long distance between the cue ball and object ball. Those issues can be postponed until good stroke accuracy and some aiming skills are developed. Since I'm an experienced player, I thought I could skip ahead a little in the sequence of shot difficulty. In my across the table progression, I have 7 shots. I decided to start up at the third. That's just 2 diamonds distant from the pocket and a quarter ball hit. A relatively easy shot for me, I had thought. Was I ever wrong? I didn't capture my first session on video. Here, I'm trying to recreate it by showing you the resulting typical misses. I was dumbfounded. This shot isn't hard for me. What's happening? It must be some incorrect setup. So I got out my laser and spreadsheet data for the setup and checked very carefully. It wasn't quite perfect, so I made some small adjustments and even then continued to miss just as badly. I checked the setup yet again. Seems fine. How about collision-induced throw? Could that be the issue? I estimated the miss angle and it was between 7 and 10 degrees. Way more than could be caused by throw. What's going on? I checked the setup yet again. It seems perfect. Then I tried shooting the shot normally, as if it's a normal shot in the game. I made it without difficulty. Somehow, in normal shooting, I subconsciously make compensations for my typical stroke angle error. But this is all wrong. I have to eliminate my stroke angle error and tighten my accuracy as well. This is exactly what the AimRight straight cut drill is designed to highlight. Note that when doing the drill, I'm cutting to the left and hitting the ball too thickly, too far to the left. That's the same pattern I've seen over time in my shooting. Look at this up and back drill. See how the ball went somewhat to the left? This is the same thing I'm doing when shooting the drill, and it sure shows up dramatically. As you learned in my prior video, I was stuck on how to fix this glaring problem. And I went back to a form of stroke dry practice and modified it in several ways. I learned and adjusted several aspects of my stroke mechanics. The two biggest issues I found required me to change my grip and my wrist motion through the stroke. Back to this drill, and now I started making shots. And knowing the errors that can happen, I emphasized alternating shooting, cutting both to the left and to the right. This prevents developing or compensating for flaws that work on one direction but not on the other. I quickly became comfortable with the altered stroke mechanics and started making a high percentage. Quickly, I found it was time to increase the difficulty. I jumped up from this third step to the fifth step in the progression. After a short time, I was shooting it very well. On to the top step in the shooting across sequence. That's shooting from 5 diamonds away from the pocket at a 70-degree cut angle. This distance and cut requires a very firm stroke, which adds to the difficulty. Now, this is challenging. As it turns out, maybe I jumped too far there, but I sure have been enjoying the challenge. I started with only making about 15% of the shots. Practice was intense, as I tried to perfectly execute all aspects of a correct stroke. All mistakes were highlighted by the degree the pocket was missed. With perseverance, I started getting better and got up to about 30%. I tried to slow my backstroke even more and come back fully, allowing a smoother forward acceleration. But unfortunately, my accuracy got worse. So in this drill set, I reverted to a shorter backswing and got up to over 40%. Let me use that experience to make a broader point. I'm not wedded to any particular stroke mechanics or pre-shot routine or aiming method. I'm fundamentally about finding what works effectively. The day before this practice set, I actually tried an Efren Reyes-like double stroke on the final shot stroke, and for a bit it really worked. I think I made 6 shots in a row here from the 70 degrees. But then I lost the magic, and that's why you're not seeing me do it here in this drill. I think what works best depends on the individual. So I have a belief that a longer, smoother backstroke will lead to more accuracy. I'm open to the experience that it doesn't, and not doing it if it doesn't lead to better results, as I can determine in this drill. I also think that using this drill, and then in conjunction with part one of the dry practice, and using that dry practice to look for the most glaring error associated with your misses, will focus you to what needs fixed the most. And if you're stuck and can't make progress at part two, and part one doesn't reveal anything to you about what it is you're actually doing wrong or how to fix it, then go find a competent instructor to help you. Let me tell you about a few things that are going on while I'm doing this drill. First, absolutely, I pay no attention to that ball that's going to get hit. I'm only paying attention to shooting straight. And in addition to that, I can't pay any attention to what I did on the last shot and decide that I'm going to fudge my aim a little more to the left or to the right in order to make the shot. That's not the point. The point is that I'm seeing this as a straight shot with no adjustments. I'm trying to learn and incorporate multiple changes to my stroke mechanics. And prior to each shot, I'm thinking about them. I'm visualizing it. I'm imagining the kinesthetic feel of it. And I'm deciding on this particular shot, which aspect should I give special focus to, both before I shoot, during the shot, and then paying attention to the results afterwards, and decide what to do next. That's not the way to shoot in a game situation, but I think it's an effective way to practice and learn new skills. Since this training session was recorded, I went back to part one and did dry practice, focusing on my arm motion going to a full backswing, and immediately found a large source of stroke error, which is causing me to shoot off to the left. It had hidden itself until I went to a full backswing. Now that I've identified the problem, I think I'll have a fix, and then I'll work to have that stroke I want, with a full slow backswing, a smooth transition, and smooth forward stroke that's accurate. After that, I have several choices. I'll probably next work on confirming, refining, or changing my aiming for these thin cuts using part three of the fit method. Then I'll turn 90 degrees and shoot the length of the table and address whatever comes up there. So note my progress. I started on a level 3 shot, missed virtually every attempt by 7 degrees or more. Then I finished at a level 7 shooting 70-degree cut angle, long from the pocket, and up to making over 40% of my shots. And that was 3 times the rate that I was making them just 2 days before. That progression took about 7 days. In that time, I found and fixed a number of significant flaws in my shot mechanics. And so I rapidly moved from a short, jerky, inconsistent, off-angle stroke to one that's longer, slower, smoother, straighter, and consistent. I think what I've shown here is quite special. If you agree, let me know and let's take action, including helping spread the word. And thanks for watching.